got started with Austin Food Shed Investors probably about a decade before Austin Food Shed Investors really got going. I was born and raised in a rural area outside of Austin, Texas, and those small communities were really based around the agriculture that lived in them. There was always a local bank, there was a local diner, there were local staples in business, but outside of that, a lot of things were agricultural based.
I got involved in Austin Food Shed Investors before Austin Food Shed Investors even existed. I rolled into Austin in 2011 with my family. We'd lived in Southern California for a while, and really came to love this community.
I started to see the decline of these cities. Town squares started getting boarded up, and I noticed that. It happened slowly, so it was kind of one of those things you wake up 15 years later and all of a sudden they're all boarded up. You didn't notice them boarding up one at a time. But that's what kind of got me interested in, well, how can we have an effect on this? How can we have an effect on these small towns that are struggling? Not everybody wants to move to a big city. Everybody wants to have their small town they grew up in thrive. How can we do that? The more I looked at it, the agricultural piece had to do with it. And slow money is an idea that I came across.
Slow food evolved as this idea of shared food on a shared table, grown locally, sourced locally, care about what you eat, grow community. Slow money was a fast follower to that.
From a business perspective, I've been investing in real estate and wanted to do something different, wanted to do something with a little more meaning and something that my wife and I could be proud of. And I was complaining to her one day about, wow, what should I do? And she said, why don't you do something good? Why don't you invest in sustainable food companies? And so I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Well, it turns out that it's harder than you think. What are you going to do? Just walk up to some company and say, hey, you want some money?
I found that finding access to the actual capital, actually moving the money from the people who wanted to do this but didn't know how into the people that needed this to happen because they needed the money, it wasn't there. And so I tried multiple iterations, an investment club.
I did what a reasonable person would do, and I Googled it. I came across this thing called Slow Money Austin, and what do you know, there's this guy Jared Maxwell running it. So got together, chatted with him for a little bit, and it sounded pretty interesting. I said, well, where are the deals? And he said, well, and then a couple months later I got a phone call. Hey, let's get together.
Curt and I got together, did a couple of investments into small food companies together, enjoyed it, wanted to do more of it, and the way to do more of it was to go find more people like us.
I had met Jared and Curt during the evolutionary change of sort of the stick club and slow money in Austin, and the conversation had begun on how can we actually do something to deploy capital into food-based businesses in Central Texas in an effective and efficient way.
We came across the idea, what if we were to take what happens on the coasts and here in Austin with angel groups that usually invest in technology? What if we were to apply that general idea of a bunch of investors, individuals making individual decisions in investing in companies, and applied it to food companies, realizing that food companies are way different than high-tech companies, and you need different investment vehicles. You need to think about the thing differently.
We needed some mechanism to corral the money, get it ready to go, so that whenever these opportunities came across, the money was in place. So that's really where AFI came out of.
The three of us have been working away steadily to try to really enliven the regional food system here.
You know, really what we wanted to do was benefit our community, and the simple place to start that was in the food-based businesses and the food shed, trying to enable and grow sustainable, organic, good companies trying to do good things to the community.
It's kind of how I got into it and how it evolved into what it is today. And I'm loving every minute of it and looking forward to doing more of it.
So that's how I got into it, and it's sure been fun so far.
We're smoking a Jeep. a freight train, but riding in because